So, have you tried booking a cooking gas cylinder lately? And were you told it's going to be weeks? Well, you're definitely not alone. Right now, all across the country, millions of kitchens are feeling the heat from a massive delay in LPG cylinder deliveries. What is actually going on here? Let's get into it.
Right. This is the big question on literally everyone's mind. You've paid for it, you've booked it, but that cylinder's just nowhere to be found. And look, this isn't just some small inconvenience, is it? It's a huge disruption that's affecting daily life for millions. So it's time we get to the bottom of why your kitchen has been put on pause.
So, first, let's just talk about the reality on the ground. This isn't a problem happening in just one or two cities. No, this is a nationwide crisis, and it starts right in the heart of the home, the kitchen.
And we're not talking about a delay of a few days here. The waiting period for a new cylinder right now is a staggering 25 to 30 days. I mean, think about that. That's nearly a whole month without a reliable way to cook for so many families. Now, this delay, that's the symptom. So what's the cause?
And that brings us to the core of the issue. Why? Why is a country of over 1 billion people suddenly facing such a critical shortage of something as basic as cooking gas? Well, the answer isn't simple, and it starts a long, long way from our kitchens. Okay, take a look at this chart. It pretty much lays out a crucial vulnerability for us. India imports a massive 60% of all the LPG it uses. We only produce about 40% of what we need right here at home. This heavy, heavy reliance on other countries for our energy, well, that's the first big piece of this puzzle. And that dependency, it gets even more concentrated when you see where all that imported gas actually comes from. A whopping 90% of our LPG imports come from countries in West Asia. Now, you can see the problem, right? When you rely that heavily on just one region, any little bit of instability there has a direct impact on us right here at home. And here it is. This is the immediate cause. The Strait of Hormuz, it's basically a superhighway for oil and gas tankers, has been blocked because of regional conflict. This one single choke point has pretty much severed our main supply line. The tankers carrying our LPG literally can't get through. It's a geopolitical crisis that has landed smack right in the middle of our kitchens.
So, with the supply lines cut off, what's the plan? What's being done about it? Let's break down the government's action plan to tackle this crisis head on.
The government's strategy really has two main parts. The first part is to manage the limited supply that we have left. And the second part is to figure out how to reduce our overall demand for LPG, to make that supply last as long as possible. It's this dual approach that's key to navigating the shortage. So on the supply side of things, they're taking action. Our domestic production has been cranked up from 40% to now meet 55% of our demand. The government is also scrambling to diversify, finding new partners to import from, like Argentina, the USA, and Norway, just to reduce that dependency on West Asia. And to make sure homes get top priority, the supply to hotels and other commercial businesses is being cut back. Now, let's talk about the demand side. And this is probably where you're feeling the changes the most. New rules have been put in place. If you're in a city, there's now a mandatory 25-day gap between booking cylinders. In rural areas, that gap is even longer, at 45 days. This is all designed to stop panic booking and make sure the gas we do have gets distributed a bit more evenly.
Okay, this next one is a really big deal. The government is now mandating a shift to piped natural gas, or PNG, but only in urban areas where the pipelines already exist. The logic here is pretty clear, right? They want to save the portable cylinders for rural and remote areas where pipelines just don't reach. And they're serious about this. If you have a PNG option and you don't switch, your LPG connection could actually be cut after 3 months.
So that's the problem, and that's the government's plan. But what does this all mean for you, right now, in your home? Let's make this super practical. This table really lays it out simply. If you live in a city and have other options, the absolute best thing you can do is switch to PNG, or maybe even an induction cooktop. Every time someone in a city does that, it directly frees up an LPG cylinder for a family in a rural area that has no other choice. And for those of you in rural areas, the message is to conserve gas as much as you can, knowing that the supply chain is being reprioritized to get cylinders to you first. All right, so let's just summarize the most important points here. First, and this is crucial, don't panic. The new rules are there specifically to stop hoarding. Second, conserve. Just be a little more mindful of how you're using your gas. And third, if you have an alternative like PNG or induction, please make the switch. It's honestly the single biggest thing you can do to help ease this crisis for everyone.
All of this leaves us with a final, really thought-provoking question. A crisis, as difficult as it is, often forces us to change and innovate. So, could this massive disruption actually be the push India needs to diversify our energy sources, to reduce our reliance on imports, and to build a stronger, more resilient energy future for all of us? It's a huge challenge, for sure, but it's also a massive opportunity.